Well, friendly hellos and welcome to the August 5th allocator call taking place August 5th. Let's share the slides and take a look at what do we have on the call agenda for this week. All right. So at a very high level, we have three updates to make sure that everyone's tracking. Number one is just checking in on metrics and tooling, but the big one is number two. And this is how does the onboarding work for new allocators? So if this is your organization's first time coming into the Fill Plus program, this is a great call for you to see how the tooling works, how some of the standards work, how the DataCap refresh process works. Ask any questions. So we'll be on the line, happy to help, provide any feedback we can. After that, we have time on the calendar for anything that you wanted to talk about. So, BD Man, I see you're on the line. We got your new proposal as far as addressing some of the issues that we had in the last application. Lots of time to talk and bring up anything, as well as anybody else on the line. All right, so with that, let's take a quick dive in. As always, we make this agenda 2 weeks before the call. So if there's a topic you'd like to see, please just come into GitHub. You'll see it in the chat, and then you could add anything you want to the call. All I ask is that you give us about 24, 48 hours just so that I can bake it into the slides for everybody else to see. This call is taking place August 5th. Hey, look at that. The next call is August 19th. And if you're keen to follow these calls along, inside of the slide deck is the link to the Google Calendar. Really nice way to just have it show up. This way we don't have to send singular invites. So the links to the call are in the slide decks, and the slide deck is shared in this call, in the meeting notes, as well as Slack, as well as the GitHub repository. All right, hey, this is the fun part. Let's take a look at some numbers that have come back. So we pull this week over week, 2 weeks over 2 weeks. So we've had 84 petabytes go out in that time frame. Huge numbers. We were going down to around 20 or 30 during the March, April, May timeframe. So it's great to see this going up. It went to 25 new clients and then existing clients that are coming across. And this is from 83 allocators. Now I put it in red. You're going to see this number change as we start to onboard new pathways. So, hey, looking forward to seeing about 100 new organizations start helping clients get the data storage they need. I wanted to check in on some tooling updates that are coming down the pipe. I see that we have John and Damien on the call from Fiddle. I won't throw you guys out there, but if you want to unmute, I'll be happy to kind of relinquish the floor, or I'll take my best crack at it. So, John, Damien, silence will mean no thank you. Unmuting will mean whatever you wanted to add. Silence, no thank you, it is. All right, what's Fiddle's got going on? You can see that they're working on the time to data cap. This is going to be a lot nicer for like the relevancy on like what is the turnaround times from the program? Do you have to wait a week, 2 weeks? And so we're looking forward to that metric to kind of show as this program gets faster and faster for you. They're also doing some things with the GitHub auto merge stability. That's all we're really kind of looking at as we start to get these toolings set up. And you're going to see some new proposals about new on-ramps. We're calling it the MetaAllocator. I don't want to step on it too much, but this is going to be really nice for a lot of you organizations that have paid storage deals that are looking for larger ways to go about it. You've got standing in the community. You're really going to like this when the tooling's set up. Then replicas, we're going to start flagging if we start seeing copies of 8 or more. So this means that if we have that public open data set that's coming on board at the network, if we see that it's like the 40th time that we're bringing that data set on, it should be asked, like, what is the value to the network? So what this tool will do is it's going to flag it if that public open data set's brought on more than 8, and we can kind of have a serious talk about what value having a 9th, 10th, so forth will go on that. You'll also see that some of the allocator pathways that were not selected were showing up in some of our tooling, just the way that it ran. So they're doing a work on making sure that that's taken out. So the only tooling will represent the allocators that were brought onto it. So big thanks to Fiddle. John, Damien, I know you guys are on the line. Feel free to shoot anything in text if I missed anything. But thanks again for all the work that you guys do. All right. I'm going to check chat just to make sure I'm not missing any big flags, and then we're going to go through it. Oh, John, I just saw your message in chat. John, it's never too late if you want to go back and unmute and add anything. But if it is too late, I understand. I'll leave it up to you.
No, you're good. You got everything. But just only to say, I think people by now are seeing us popping up in like the GitHub issues and stuff. So if any of those things are new or there's any teething troubles, again, same as this forum, we're gonna do our best to make them work for you.
Thanks for all you guys do. All right, this next part of the call, this is tailored for new organizations or returning allocation organizations that haven't been active. So it's like a refresh or an onboarding. Lots of documentation out there, but sometimes it can be overwhelming. So consider this like a brief 4 to 5 minute summary of all the tools that are out there in Docs to help you get started. So first off, I want to re-stress that we have closed the application window period. This is just so that we could focus on onboarding tools. It takes a lot to review the apps, to get the tooling set up, and then to onboard. So we can't do two things at the same time with this. So we've shut the application window down. We'll reopen this coming up in the future once we have more bandwidth to kind of go through it. So again, you cannot submit a new application now. If for whatever reason that's a block, please reach out to me directly and I'll help you one-on-one to figure out what's going on. All right. Hey, let's talk about some guides. If you are a new organization and you're looking for like a couple of bookmarks to have, here's the first one. It's this fidl.tech allocating DataCap. And if I'm sharing screen correctly, you can now see it under the page here under fidl.tech. This is resources for allocators. So Fiddle, who designs the tooling for the program, did a really good job of coming in here and creating tutorials about how to set up a multi-sig address, how to go over the registry, how to audit smart contracts, whatever you see on my screen here. And this makes it nice for anybody trying to get started. So again, a great bookmark to have as you're thinking about how do these toolings work and what are some FAQs with the tooling. This is a great place to go for that, and you can get the information that you're needing. And so again, that's under the resources for allocators on the fidl.tech page that you see here in this slide. And under that resources for allocators, again, tutorials, how to set up, really how to walk it through. And at the very bottom of the page is a really detailed FAQ. So again, I can't stress this enough. If you're looking to get started in the tooling, please check out this site. The first tool that you're going to come across, and then if you haven't seen it before, is the allocator.tech page. So returning applications and organizations, this should look really familiar. It's the same process. New organizations, you can see this under the guide set up right here. And under this guide, let me pull their website up so you can see it. Allocating DataCap on allocator.tech. And this will walk you through once you sign in with your GitHub ID, how to see your clients, how to see the data cap that goes to those clients, and how to enter the amounts. So if you're curious, how do you actually disperse? This is the tool that you're going to want to be in. So again, a really good guide set up here, click by click on the 5 steps you need to follow. But once you're all set up, you've got your bookkeeping repository, you've been selected. This is how you can start to disperse that data cap. And all you do is you just come to this site, you enter the data cap that's going through, you enter your numbers, follow the 5 steps right here, and then you can disperse that data cap as it goes out. I'd be remiss if I didn't talk about some of the governance that goes into this. A lot of text on this screen. I kind of did that for posterity, but it doesn't make for good reading. If you took 3 things off of this slide that you see here, it's that if you're saying that you have public, open, retrievable data sets, in 2025, there should be public, open, retrievable data sets. If not, then there's an issue with how you are functioning as an organization in a pathway that will either be addressed or will be given feedback. So making sure that you're adhering to that. Second is that there's no padding. This should be kind of straightforward. In the past, we were kind of lenient with this on how we could kind of make these numbers work for the business models and getting up to speed. But now going forward with anybody selected, the expectation is very clear that we should not see this. It's no longer acceptable, and that those pathways will not receive data cap refresh if this is identified. Then the bookkeeping. Everybody who was selected set up a bookkeeping repo. Please use it. We should be able to go back and see everything public and auditable. If not, there's a problem. The fourth thing is this clear intent. So we want the allocators that are in this program to be good shepherds of the community. The goal is that governance, Filecoin Foundation just shepherd this and make sure that there's no problems, and this can be community run. That means that you have to be involved. So in your application, you said what you would take part in, but some of that, thank you for you on the call, it's feedback and going through it. So looking at comments and getting that back. formatting, fee structures, and this is all here in the issue. I've got it linked here in the slide if you want to see these in GitHub discussions as well as you can always come in to the allocator governance repository under discussions, and you'll see some of these fields that I pulled these slides from. So like essentially like how do we make sure that the community is engaged? How do we make sure? So if you want to see about like where these slides came from, this came from the framework of supporting governance. Like how do we look at these applications and go through it? So if you're not sure where something is, send me a ping. I'll be happy to get it for you. All right. So you have allocated your data cap on allocatор.tech, and you've now distributed 75%. What you're going to need is additional data cap to get to new clients. You'll make that request in the governance repository inside of GitHub. So when you come to GitHub and you come to issues, you'll see that there's a new issue and there's a template already set up for data cap refresh. When you use this template, this should be plug and play, where you just list the information that's required of all your dispersals, fill this out, it will create a new issue, and that issue is called a refresh. We will then use that refresh to kind of look and we'll say, what were the clients that were served? What did the metrics look like on those clients? Did you adhere to what you said you would do? And the way we do that is we ask for community feedback. If no community feedback is run, we use an allocator like watchdog. It's an account that happily signs up to kind of audit these things. And once the watchdog has left comments, you can leave comments in return. And all that is taken by a min on the governance team who looks at this and says, were the expectations in the application met? If they were, then it gets a refresh. You can see what's determined if you adhere to the program that you said you would follow, your data cap is doubled or refreshed as it goes through. If there's a small thing that would limit that we need to make sure that that's addressed before we trust you with larger data, you'll be throttled or frankly not approved. In 2024, there was about 13 organizations through the course of the year that were removed from the program for not adhering to their guidelines. In 2025, and we'll talk about this as we go through it, there's much stricter adherence to this. So please be mindful that you are doing what you said you would do in your application. If not, you will not be receiving additional data cap. So what do we look at to decide? We're going to be looking at one, can we enforce KYC? Do we know who the clients were? Do we know where the data cap is going? Do you have that all written down, or is it a black box? If we don't know, there's no data cap refresh coming. Can we look at the retrievability? Like right now it's Spark. Does it have a Spark number? We can pull it back. Can we actually pull the header rows and see what's taking place on this? If it's public open data and it's not retrievable, then that's not what we're looking for. And that's not what you said you would do. And so there won't be any more data cap given to you because you did not do what you said you would do. So be mindful of, is this data open and retrievable? And can we follow the data? Is there provenance? If we look at this and it's all just blank box, or we can't track anything down, there's no bookkeeping, there's no repository, again, it won't just be throttled, the pathway will be removed. So be very mindful of what's going into the review. And I put here in this link issue 329. So if you come into GitHub discussions, you'll see that there's issue 329, and that's going to talk about all of the things that go up for that data cap refresh. So before you fill this out, you're encouraged to read this issue, see what needs to be reviewed. What do we look at? It should not be a mystery. It should just be, these are the categories. This is what you did. Data cap is given back. Now, the last thing I would say is like, what are some scenarios where we've seen where data cap has not been awarded or throttled? So I've got those here in like 5 scenarios that I looked at in past audits. Number one is there's no bookkeeping. We don't know who did it, where it went, who the clients were. That's pretty much grounds for like no transparency. We can't give you more because we didn't trust it. The second is retrievability score. Right now, we're shooting for 75%. This is probably going to adjust in the coming time, but the key highlight is the fact of, is this data open and retrievable, or is this put away? And so take a look at this list. The big thing is, as an allocator, it's up to you. It's not up to the governance. It's up to you to ensure that the clients are using this data cap properly. And if not, then you should step in as the allocator to ensure they are. All right, and last, this is probably the biggest foot stomp I would leave. So I'll pause, and now I'll say it. It's going to be a lot more strict in 2025. And what I mean by that is the standards have been communicated. All allocator applications have said what they were willing to do. We've kind of addressed some of the technical issues that came up in last year that caused some of the non-retrievable or non-bookkeeping. Those have all been ironed out. So that means that organizations that fail to meet the minimum standards of what they set out to do will not be throttled. They will just be removed. And the reason for that is we now have 100 allocator pathways that are options. So clients have a wide variety of places that they can go for DataCap. It doesn't have to be a blocker. So that means if an organization that's running an allocator pathway doesn't adhere to the standards they set, but they have clients, they could just send those clients to a different allocator pathway. So be very mindful, ask questions as you go through. If you're not sure, bubble it up in the Phil Plus Slack. We'll be happy, member of Fiddle or myself or Galen, to get you the support you need. But please be very mindful, this will have to go through. So I'll pause and see what questions we have, and I'll double back. So, Mike, I see your question about the public open data set and having 8 copies on board. So the reason why that 8 number right now, I don't know where that 8 comes from. I could tell you probably just like a common sense type thing here. What does it mean not recommended to have more than 8 copies? If you do some looking like we do, you'll see that there's certain data sets that are very public and very open and very easy to get. And we've seen that some organizations just continually onboard the same data set, like up to 20 plus times on the same data set in the same region or two. So there's not a lot of high value. So if we have to pick how many copies is it helpful to have across multiple regions, 8 seems to be like, okay, after 8, we're kind of getting silly with this, especially if we have geographic diversity on where those are stored. So that's where it's coming from. All right, Mike, I see your question here in chat where you submitted a refresh request back in March. You have to wait until round 6. Could you kindly take a look and let me know what to do next? Tell you what, Mike, so I don't slow everybody down, I'll open this in a new tab and see if I can get it. Mike, what would be really helpful too is if in the future you want to make sure 100% that I get this on the call, if you do have this coming up, you'll see how there's an issue for today's call. If you can ever leave that question ahead, just as an issue here, I can research it, dig down, and get you more. But I'll shoot from the hip here and make sure that I get you what you need to. All right, and BD Man, I got yours. Yes. All right, so in chat, BD Man's asking, hey, what's going on with discussion 405? So BD Man, this is what I'm looking at. Thank you so much. So for context, BD Man was an organization that filed several different applications for the same POCs and the same organizations. Due to that not being disclosed in the application, those were all rejected. And the feedback was passed along to the organization that because you did not disclose any of these connections between the pathways and the POCs, these would be denied. And BD Man has filed this discussion to kind of address what happened, state that publicly, and see what we can do to get them back on board. So BD Man, I took this one that you submitted. Thank you for turning this in. I left you a comment on it this morning, so you should see it. BD Man, what we're waiting for right now is we now need to re-audit this whole thing for multiple applications. There's significant time that goes into this on our part. I'm just going to apologize to you that right now, as we're onboarding these organizations, bandwidth is small. So this has been deprioritized while we get the other pathways stood up and onboarded. And once that's completed, then we can circle back to see like a full-blown audit to go through all of these different applications and different POC pathways. So if I had to guess at a time frame, I would say minimum of 2 weeks seems to be like a reasonable number, and we could check in and let you know as we go forward on that. So what I've done is I've given this to our auditors to kind of take a look, and we have to match the KYC to the organizations to everything that's been set up. But if you're looking for a timeline, I would say around 2 weeks is kind of a safe number for you. And yeah, to see your comment, BD Man, so far there hasn't been much engagement. Yeah, I'm sorry. There is just a lot going on. And right now this has been de-scoped because these were technically removed. So it was technically like said no. And now it's like that secondary, can we get you back and can we work with you? But that's just scoped a little bit lower as we go through. So please, you did great. You filed exactly what you need to do. Right now, you're just unfortunately in the waiting game as bandwidth opens up to get you set up. All right, Meta era Mike. Here's my refresh application since March. Let's pull this up and take a look. Okay, all right, I remember this. We were waiting to hear back because your numbers had changed and we're coming through. Mike, what I'm going to do is I'm going to tag in a min, and a min is the individual who runs the audit reviews. I'm just kind of like your friendly helper gopher. So a min will be able to help for this second review. Thanks for flagging this. I'll reopen it. And Mike, if you're seeing my screen right now, if you submitted a new application separate from this 309, please link it. I don't think you did, but just in case, that'll be great. I've reopened
Kevin,
it.
sorry,
Yeah.
just jumping in here because I've been looking at this application today quite a bit. Mike, the problem is that the original self-review that you submitted had some issues. I believe that there is a comment from Watchdog that says that they can't access your original application, and there is a whole conversation with Kevin here that says, okay, let's just close down this application because we can't access your original application and we can't compare, and asking you to then submit an application through round 6. You have submitted the application. Thank you so much. That has been reviewed and approved. And honestly, like, let's work on it together. Let's not try getting into each other's business, and let's just get to work together on things. Meaning, help us help you by submitting a self-review on the activity that you've done so far with the new application that you submitted through V6, and that will be much easier to evaluate than trying to go back and try to recover your application, figuring out what things are going on and so on. It just, that takes a lot of time, and when you see delays, it's because I've literally spent half of my day digging through those things today for you. So that would be ideal.
Got it. So, Marta, just to clarify, I'll put it in the comment while I'm sharing screen. Do we want to not reopen this and then meta era?
Let's not
Okay,
reopen this. There is a new template that will, if it's submitted with a new template, it will be picked up by the tooling, and we will be able to, well, you will be able to review it. I will just be able to make sure that the tooling sees it.
you got it. Mike, I'm going to pause and see if you have any questions for Marta or myself, just to make sure that we get you set up while you have us both here. Mike, looks like that's good to go. All right, coming up through chat, Silver Power. All right, Silver Power, you resubmitted and you're good to go. What's going on, Silver Power? Let me just pull this up and reorient myself. If I remember right, you guys were initially denied and then you would come back. So let me just find you and then pull it up. What was your number? 991? It's not you. We had you on the last call too, didn't we? Slide. Let me pull up the slide that I had for you last week. I had done a write-up for you. I'm just going to grab that on a separate screen so I don't share it too much, and then I'll give it to you. So stand by, Silver, and I'll pull you up. All right, so Silver, this is what I was tracking from our last conversation. It's that we had rejected this application as the manual because we had no license in the pull request, and then you hadn't passed KYC, and there were some issues. You had gone back, you had addressed it. And I think right now, what we're in the current phase is closing out the old one, verifying the KYC, and then onboarding your new one. So, very similar to what's going on with BD Man, we've just de-scoped these a little bit lower while we get everything set up. Think this is probably like still in the same way as like within the next 2 weeks. I think that's a very fair, it shouldn't go that long, but just to kind of make sure that we don't give you unrealistic expectations to get that new one merged. So again, you don't have to recomplete the KYC. You've submitted the new application. I don't want to share my screen with all your PII, but then that's in there and then linking it together. So to give you an update, the update is probably within the next 2 weeks. You'll see that go on board and then get you all set up. All right, got a question in chat from Hubang Phil. They're sharing their link and they're curious why they were rejected. Hubang, let me pull back the last slide. We did this last week's call on the folks that weren't accepted, and you were 995. Okay, yeah, so you were not selected. I'm going to pull up a separate screen so I don't share all of your information publicly, and I can give you a quick little rundown of what were the big highlights were to help you. Swirl. All right, so taking a look. The individual who completed your KYC was different. So you would have seen an email come through from me. This would have been about 3 weeks ago saying like, hey, we've seen a different contact on your KYC versus your application, and therefore we can't audit this through the sanctions checker. So that's why this was removed. So if you want, feel free to send me an email. Let me put this up here too. It's the Phil Plus contact information, and you can always email me. I'll put it here in chat so you have it. But the quick summary on you, 995, was that your KYC was a completely different person than what you have. Phil Plus. Phil. So in chat, I just put the address philplus@phil.org. If you send me an email with that contact, you'll be in the same boat. You're going to have to wait for us to kind of go back and re-audit and see what's going on to kind of do this. So it's a little bit of a lower. But again, to kind of summarize, that's why that application is not selected. And Silver, I'm catching up. I see your new application that you put in chat. So you refilled out 1085. Thank you for that. Now I just have to go back and merge those, verify the changes, and carry the KYC over, and then hand this over for the onboarding to Galen. So again, it's just this back and forth as we work through this. As Marta said, it's just a lot to keep track and go through it. We're just kind of working them through. So Silver, that should be you as well. We got your rejection. All right, sweet. That seems to be what's in chat. So I really appreciate those questions. It's exactly why we do this call. Sometimes it gets a lot done just hopping on the line together. I'm going to pause. I see we have a couple other people on the line. The floor is yours. Anything that's on your mind. All right. Sometimes it's like that. Then what I'm going to do is I will cut the part of this recording where we talked about the calls. The folks that ask the questions, the best place to ask those questions, like, hey, what's the status of my application? It come through. Please, 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 please use the public Phil Plus channel. It makes it so difficult sometimes when the DMs come through because the name won't match the app, won't match the GitHub, and it just takes so much longer if you just use me as a focal point. please leverage that public chat. That way we can get you the support you need. If it's not me, it's another member of the team that moves so quick. So please try to use those public messages in Phil Plus versus the DMs. Unless it's sensitive, then of course, feel free to reach out. Everyone, I'm going to stay on the line for a few minutes in case anyone joins, but thanks again. If there's anything you need, please let us know and we'll get you onboarded. And those of you will circle back as we go forward. Looking forward to some great things. Cheers, everybody.
Thank you, Kevin. That was great.
All right. Hey, warm, friendly hellos. This is Kevin, Filecoin Foundation. This is the second call on August 5th. You tell me, there's 4 of us on the call. I could walk through the content we did on the morning, just give you a verbatim, or you can watch that, and we could spend time going over any issues. I'm here for you. You let me know what you want, either in chat or going through it. All right. Alex, we have a saying in the States. It's called vote early and vote often. You voted early with A, so we'll kick off with that. And then, as always, just let me know if you want to dive into anything. All right. I'll share the slides. We'll go through that. And Jin, I see you. CC, I see you. If there's anything you're keen on, let me know. Again, I'm here for you guys. All right, let me get that slide up and we'll walk through it. Okay, here's high level what I'm hoping that you gents take from this call. One, I'm going to go through the metrics and tooling really quick, and I'm going to focus on category number 2. So if you were an organization coming into this program, this is for you. Highlights on what you need to do and the standards and where you can get into trouble. So if you have any questions, put them in chat. I'll keep an eye and I'll stop regularly. If you want me to dive into anything more, feel free to unmute and we'll go through it as we go. So program updates, you know that this calls every 2 weeks. Here's the calendar invite for you. And then we've had 84 petabytes. We talked about this in the morning, so I won't spend too much time. Fidl, the Filecoin Incentive Design Lab, they build all the tooling for the Phil Plus program. If you guys on the call were to take the highlights, it's here on the right. It's about replication. What we've noticed is that some public open data set organizations are onboarding the same data set repeatedly. Like take a NOAA, it's like a weather organization. I've seen that data come through 20 times. So what Fidl is building tooling for us to do is show when a replica has happened more than 8 times. This way we can tell the organization, look, there's not a lot of value for onboarding this same data set 20 times in the same region. So be on the lookout for that tooling, and you'll see this come up in some of the application refresh. All right, jumping right into meat and potatoes for you. We are no longer accepting new applications for the program. This is due to time management sanities. It's just myself, Min, and Galen from the governance standpoint. So we are not able to receive, review, feedback, and triage new applications at the same time as onboarding. So if you're joining this call or watching this, we are holding applications for the time being until we've fully onboarded everybody who's in the program. If you are new, all right, new allocators joining, there are some great guides, and that's what I want to highlight for you. So in the slide deck, and I'll put it here in chat as well, Fidl has put together some of the most commonly asked questions on tooling and the program, and that's what this link that I'm sharing on this screen for. So you come to fidl.tech, resources for allocators, and this is just a gold mine as far as knowledge. At the top are tutorials on how to set up multi-sig, how to use the tooling, as well as some really common FAQs about the program. So if you're new, you're wondering where to start, this is ground zero for you to kind of get onto it as we go forward. One of the first questions that will come up is, all right, hey, I've got my clients, they want DataCap. How do I send the DataCap that I've received in my org to my clients? You're going to use this screen you see here, allocatор.tech. And when you log into allocatор.tech, there's a couple of screens that you're going to walk through. And so that is the first tutorial that I would point out on Fidl's page. This tutorial, allocating DataCap on allocatор.tech, which is this screen that you see right here. There's only 5 steps. You log in, you sign in with your GitHub. This will automatically pull the bookkeeping repo that you created for your pathway in your application. You find the issue that's linked there, and then you can select in the dropdown what the data cap is that's going to go out. And this will take it off of your address, and then we'll send that over to the clients. So really helpful guide. If you're doing this and you get stuck, by all means, please tag Marta and myself in the Phil Plus channel, and we'll happily help you with whatever you need. Great guide as you get started on allocatор.tech. This is the way you distribute your DataCap. Some things that you should probably know. Every application and every refresh is going to be looking at, if you set standards to come on board as an allocator, are you meeting those standards and holding them? So the text that you see on this slide right now is coming from the discussion that we created in GitHub. So I'll leave these slides up, and I'm going to pull over that GitHub discussion so you can see this and take a look, and I'll link this here in chat as well. Under discussions in GitHub, we have community-led proposals, the election results. You'll see a few that I kicked off last year, just so everybody had a little bit of understanding about what goes into the program. So there is a field here called two things. One is DataCap refreshing. Make sure that goes through as well. And we'll talk about that on this call. And the second is how the governance works. So in this, we talk about the roles and responsibilities of an allocator. We talk about what you're going to have to do and the tools that you have to use as you go through it. But the big one that you're going to see is about refresh. What we've seen is that some of these organizations would distribute their DataCap, and then we would come back and say that that was not within compliance. So this slide here, these key expectations for allocators, I pulled that directly from this issue 329. And this is talking about what you have to do as an allocator to make sure the clients are receiving the DataCap and then bringing data onto the network in the way that they said they would, and you would hold them accountable. So what we're looking at is, great, if you're public and open data set, that data should be public, open, and retrievable. So when we go in and we do the audits on the refresh, if it's not publicly open data that's available as an onboard, that's going to stop you from getting a refresh going forward. So be mindful of that as you go. Padding of data sets, we saw this a lot, and then they would exceed this amount. So if you're padding your data sets, watch out, because now the watchdog and Amin from the foundation are specifically looking for that to try to identify that. Bookkeeping. In the past, we were a little bit lenient and let organizations come back and do their bookkeeping after. That won't be the case in 2025 going forward, which means if a client is asking for DataCap, there should be a very clear paper trail of that process, and that paper trail should be in your bookkeeping. In your application, you said that you were participating in the program. We're looking for that. Discussions, you folks on the call, thank you. Having a standardized format if you're collecting fees. So all of this isn't a shock, but just be very mindful of what you've signed on for as the allocator. You were essentially saying that you will check these things. And if not, then that will result in your organization not receiving another round of DataCap and pushing any clients that you may be supporting to other existing pathways. When a DataCap refresh is ready, it's because you have distributed 75%. So we are going to allocate you 5 petabytes of data as you come on board the program. Once you've distributed around 3 or 4 petabytes, you will then submit a request for more data. That request goes to GitHub in this issue in the repository, in the governance allocator. So when you're ready for more DataCap, the process that you do is you come to the governance repo inside of GitHub, you make a new issue. There is a template that's created, and when you select that template, you will then populate, if this is your first round, your second round, how much DataCap you're looking for, then you're going to list out who did you give your DataCap to, who were the clients, and then what was the retrievability rate, what was the bookkeeping breakdown. All you need to do is just delete this and put this with the information that you have, and you submit it. These then create issues inside of governance, and you can see them labeled with refresh. And once they're labeled with refresh, they will have a community review. We encourage anybody in the community to look at these. It should be public and open, and leave a comment. We also encourage this watchdog account to come through and leave any feedback. Hey, we didn't see X or we didn't see Y. Once that's done, Amin on the governance side will then come through and take all of the fields that you put in your application and look at the DataCap distributed. If it lines up, you'll get a refresh. If it lines up 2 times in a row, you'll then be doubled. So we'll go 5 to 10 to 20 to 40 to 80. And the more trust that you build up in the program, the faster that doubles for you. If there's any irregularities, we can't find something, you get throttled. And this is your chance to make something better. If there are blaring issues like public open data that's not retrievable, no bookkeeping, clear intention of padding, fraud, what we do is we just remove that allocator from the list, and any clients you have can go to a different pathway. Again, in 2025, the guidance that I've been given to kind of share broadly is that the standards are very, very clear, and not adhering to the standards that you put in your application will result in not receiving additional data cap. So what are we looking at? What are those standards for a refresh? One, there needs to be some type of KYC. So what are you doing to ensure that your clients are the right ones that are putting that through? We're looking at if you stored public open data, it should be public open data. If it's not, it's your role as the allocator to come to that client and say, we're not seeing this public open. This is going to come back to me. I need you to do this and make sure that this is retrievable. So you're leaning on the clients to make sure that that works. If not, that will result in you either being throttling or removed entirely. And then validation. There should be paper receipts as far as like who's requesting it, who their org is, that you verified that information. And again, this all ties back to issue 329 that I shared. And that's just that discussion talking about what goes into a DataCap refresh. So on this slide are a couple of scenarios where people have been either throttled or removed. Scenario number one is we have requests come through from an allocator and there is no bookkeeping repository. There's no requests from clients. They've just essentially given DataCap out with no history. That was a removal. The second is Spark retrievability on the metrics. If you have a client that's coming to you for public open data and there's no record of it being public and we can only pull back a small sampling, that will result in you being removed. It's only one SP again and again and again. So if we see an allocator that's consistently only funneling that data cap to this one SP, we're going to take it as this SP is probably self-dealing, and that will result in removal from the program. There's no KYC. We have no idea who this client is. They've used a Gmail address. There's no name. That violates the self-dealing there. Or there's padding. Like we said before, there's a misuse of data cap that's going out. So being very mindful as you have these new clients coming on board is probably your number one secret to success. The big thing that I would want to foot stomp that everyone takes from this call, whether you're watching or you're here live, it's that it's much stricter requirements are being pushed out across the community. So if you are unsure, please reach out. But these questions shouldn't wait until you've allocated 5 petabytes of data and then you come back and you're like, I had no idea. There's not a lot of complacency now. So if you're not following the standards that you put in your application, no harm, no foul, you just won't receive additional data cap for that organization. So be very mindful. Take a look at issue 326. I'll share these slides. Ask any questions as they come up in Fill Plus. That's a great way to make sure that you stay on board. So those are the key highlights on setting up your apply at allocatор.tech to receive data cap, on how to apply for refresh, and where to find information on how the process works. I'm going to pause, go to chat, and see what you guys would like to dive into. All right. In chat, I've got you on. We submitted discussion 408. Can we check on what's going on? Let's pull that up and take a look. 408. All right. Okay, so you had submitted a few organizations and they were tied to the same one. All right, I appreciate you doing this. Let me label this and I'll come back to it. And this way I can get it. Documentation needs governance. To kind of give you an update of where we are right now, we're a very small team. We're focusing on onboarding the newly selected pathways, the process, everything good to go. These ones like Hellsman that were coming back, probably going to be about 2 weeks. And that's the timetable to finish processing everybody who was approved and then circle back to these ones that we needed additional time to audit. So I'll write here in chat, that way you have it, but it's probably going to be about 2 weeks before you see movement on this for the meaningful like feedback and coming through. So thanks for So you should see comments next week and then movement on that in about 2 weeks. Let me know if you have any questions and we'll put it right here as far as next steps for you. What else do we have? Wayne, hello. You missed the first 10 minutes. Next step, your application 950. Let's pull that up and see. Some discussion or no? Oh, it must be an issue. All right, let me grab that image. What do we got going on here?
Yeah, Kevin, sorry, I put up the link there. There's no discussion yet on my applications, but it's just waiting to be on board at the moment.
Got it. Let me take a look to make sure. This is a good flag. I don't know what happened with this. I'm going to take a screenshot while we're here, and I'll take action to see what's going on. Looks like your JSON file's made. You've listed 2 SPs. This pull request is open. So let me make a note here. I'll leave it here in the comments you have. We're still working through a lot of these, and this could be one. We'll check this week. So I'll find out with the root key holders what's going on with this one and then get back to you. Because I don't know why this check didn't pass. If you have your repo all set, I'm not the one working that, but I'll find out.
Thank you. Right.
Can you do me one thing? I want to make sure that we double tap on this. I'm going to link the registry issue. This is the best. What I'm terrified is going to happen, that this might fall through the cracks because this was approved and not. Can you make a new issue, please?
Okay.
And just call it application support and just, hey, I saw my check failed. Just want to see. And then I'll take this and I use this when I'm working with the teams that are working on the tooling to make sure they bubble up. So if you can make an issue here for me, 100%,
sure.
that will make sure it doesn't fall through.
Got it. Thanks for that.
Hey, thank you. Oh, hello. May I know the reason for my rejection? You have 2. Let me see. I don't know if this is going to pull up. All right. I'm going to open up a new tab that you can't see, and that has all of the criteria that were met. I'm not sharing it because it has the contact information for all the pathways. I don't want that to be on this recorded call. Let me pull these 2 up and I'll be able to tell you. Stand by 1 moment. Okay, this is 906. Yeah, so let me see if I can give you some insight. High level, here's why 906. This is Dahashin. We have no history of your participation in the program as an org. Like we haven't seen you on calls, you haven't been at like any kind of like community events or brought any other clients through. So it's a brand new org, no contact information. Then the second thing is you have an email that's just QQ, so you're not representing an organization. So we don't know who you are. You have no vested reputation yet, and you have no organizational email. On top of that, there's not a lot of detail in your application. It's just kind of like a copy and paste, not a lot of clarity on what you're going to do. And you're asking for huge amounts of data. So my feedback on ways that you can strengthen yourself for the next time would be to get active somewhere in the community. I'm going to be looking at like your GitHub repo. How many issues are you talking in? What are those issues? Do you have a new GitHub or have you been actively developing? Second is that if you're looking for like large organization support, like you put in this application, you should be able to demonstrate that you're doing that in some way. You either have clients, you're working with them, you have a public face, and you're showing how you've done that business development. But the reason why this application was not selected is, again, there's no standing, there's no going through. I'm seeing that you used a corporate email for authentication. I'm looking at a QQ. It's a series of numbers at qq.com. So if you use that, you didn't put it in your application, and we never saw anything back on it. So if you do have that corporate structure, the next time that would be the place to go. Let me check. It looks like you submitted 2, so I'll pull up 3.6 as well. Your 3.6, you did use a corporate email, but your 9.06, you did not. And same thing, the feedback that I'm seeing on your 3.6 is the KYC did not pass. Feel free to link up if you have any questions on that, but there was no pass KYC for that org. The KPIs that you listed in your application were not anything that we could audit. And what I mean by that is when we talk about, I'll show you here in the governance page. Let me grab this up for you. Well, I'm going to use ND Cloud as an example. What we're looking at is, okay, you committed to certain retrievability rates. This is like an example on ND Cloud. So when we go to audit them, we can see if you meet that percentage. We can see their replica count. We can see like their SD matches for their providers. In the application that you provided, there was no details that we could then take and say, okay, if we audit this individual, how do we know if they did what they said or they did not do what they say? And then looking at what you listed for the KPIs, there's not a lot. It's just, it says geographic distribution diversity. Okay, well, what's the diversity that you're going to have? Does that mean like 2 copies in one region, 2 in another? How are you holding the clients? You said Spark retrieval success rate. All right. For the screen that I'm showing right now, does that mean that you're going to be above 60% or 20% or nothing? It just says reasonable, or excuse me, just says Spark retrievable success rate. And when it says DataCap usage, there's no numbers, I guess is what I'm saying. They're just lines. So we're talking about this large distribution of 5 petabytes to an organization. We picked the ones that were really specific, that again, we saw some relationship in the community, or we saw very clear development channels like active GitHub, very clear KPIs. These 2 were not selected for that reason. No clear direction on who your organization is and why you should be trusted with this data cap. And 2, no specifics on what we could audit when we come back and do it. So those were the reasons that this application was not selected. If you're looking for next steps, what I would highly recommend is if you are active and if you are participating, use that same GitHub across the ecosystem. So when we get this application from you, and we look at your repo history in GitHub, it should show up with having hits everywhere. If I get a GitHub from someone I don't know, and when we're looking at this, one of the first thing the auditors do is they say, okay, what other GitHub has this been involved in? So not having the KYC, not having the metrics, not having the history is why this was decided as a no-go. What I'd encourage you to do is build up in community, whether it's Orbit, whether it's Fill Plus, working with other allocators. If you have your own clients, work with other allocators and bring your client to them. Be clear in the bookkeeping. When we open this back up, you'll have that history of working with them. Let me know if that helps, or let me know if you want me to dig into anything more. You've submitted several LDNs. I'm sure you have. I'm seeing this in the text, what you're doing. You submitted several. Here is what you put. I'm just going to copy it. So going forward next time, you should look at is like, okay, what is the Filecoin Plus program trying to do? It's trying to give DataCap to incentive quality data coming onto the network from trusted organizations that we know. So what we have right here with these, it's really difficult, again, with what I posted, to see what you would do with that DataCap because there's no history, like I said. So next time as this comes through, next time there's an open enrollment, you can list that. I see these LDNs. The problem is like right now, there's no way to put those in. Like it's almost too late. It is too late to kind of go back because I don't have the resources to audit these LDNs that you might have brought through. So again, the way to do this in your application next time is to stress what metrics you'll hit and then how you've been successful doing that previously. I'll pause to see if you have anything that you wanted to add in that. And Dahu, I would recommend the same thing. If you're keen and you want to have, I'm highlighting my mouse and you can't see the screen. In the chat, you listed the two LDNs, the large data sets, 990 and 975. If you want to do the same thing, just so we could track this and give you better feedback, come into this and I'll link it here so you have it. Come to the allocator registry and click under new issue and just come down to like allocator applications or custom. Custom would be the best. And list some of the things that you've spelled out inside of this text chat. I can't retroactively change it here, but this is a way that you can kind of show that and I can leave you feedback. That way you have something for it. So let me make this copy and I'll paste it here for you. So I put it in chat, the link, and this is what I would recommend for you to kind of have some kind of documentation to kind of pull that.
Yeah, hi Kevin, back to me again.
Anyway,
Yeah, because I'm trying to create an issue. So should I use the custom issue template as well?
I'd recommend that. It doesn't have to be a lot. The other ones that I have, they're for like very specific workflows,
Yeah. Yeah, because
but
the
custom
tooling
issue.
issue, yeah, because the tooling issue is apparently is a link to a Google Drive. So I was like, okay, so I have to use a custom issue template.
Yes, please.
Okay.
Mike, I see you on the call. Is there anything I can get for you or any questions that you had about medical research? I'm going to take that long silence that you're all set up. Ahua, apologize if I'm mispronouncing that at all. So next steps for you, if you could do the same thing as Wayne, make that discussion inside of the registry, and I'll leave you lots of feedback. You could take that for the next time, or I can introduce you to some other pathways that you could work with, like it looks like you were doing in 2013, and kind of build that up to kind of get your cred. Alex, 1CC, Mike, I'll say last call if there's anything on your mind I could funnel it through or help you as we go on it. Yeah, so the retrieval rate, I'm not sure which one you're talking about. Mike, would you mind linking it here in this chat and I'll pull it up? Apologies, I was out of the office last week and I didn't see any red bangs on retrieval this week. So if you link it here in the chat, I'll be able to tell you. All right, pulling it up. Sorry, Mike, it's making me dual auth in here. I'll take care of that. Mike, I'm seeing the thread you shared. Can't get it up to screen share with us, but I'll read it out. Just essentially, you're looking that Refresh mentioned that they need to have high retrieval rates, but we're seeing some things with boost ceiling. I won't fake it. This is not where I excel. We have the engineers and a min who do it. Looks like he's written back, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab a screenshot of this message that you sent on Wednesday and a min's result, and I'll see if we can get you some more. So when I go back to the engineering teams at a min, what specifically are you hoping to get? I'm going to write in the chat here. If I'm interpreting what you wrote, it's given the Spark retrievability issues with boost or sign on, why is this still the metric? If that's it, let me know and I'll ask that. If it's more drilled down, let me know and I'll just show them the thread. Just tell me what to say and I'll take it back. All right, perfect. I saw what you put in chat. Mike, I'll do this. Today in California, it's Tuesday night. I have a meeting with the team on Thursday morning. What I'll do is I'll put this on the top of the agenda for that Thursday, and I'll ask either somebody much smarter on this, like John Greeter from Fiddle, or a Min from the foundation, to come back and give you a more robust answer. Anything I tell you is not going to be source truth, so I want to make sure that I never do that to you. So I'll get that up. Wayne, it looks like you've got your issue in. That was quick. Thank you. I'll put that. And Mike, I'll make sure that I get someone to give you a reply on that. Thanks for flagging. Right, all right. Well, thank you so much. If anything comes up, the fastest way to get an answer or response is in the Phil Plus channel on Slack. I apologize if you DM me, it's going to be much, much slower because I get the DMs from not just Phil Plus, but the whole community. So sometimes 100% of the times, just tag me in Phil Plus. That way I can tag others into the conversation versus taking it else. So if you have any questions, want something looked at, love it. Phil Plus Slack is the best way to go about that, or in the issues like you did, Wayne, in the discussions. Right. Thanks for coming. Look forward to great things if you need it at all. Again, thanks for all your time, everyone. And thanks for what you do. All the best. Cheers.